Well, first of all, huge thank you for the invitation to speak today, and it's been hugely interesting. And I promise I haven't sat there and created this PowerPoint while you've all speaking, because actually everything that we've heard today is probably in this presentation in one way or another. So I suppose without further ado then, I will, as obviously on the slide, I'm Julie, I'm an Assistant Director of Villiers Park. Our Director of Programmes is Jess Bond, which some of you will no doubt know already anyway. Yeah. She would have been delighted to be here today, but she was actually already diarised into somewhere else. Also a really interesting experience and slightly unique to be in the same conference and presenting on the same list and after my daughter. But there you go, sort of slightly proud mum moment in the middle of my working day. Just to give you a flavour of I'm kind of going to go very sort of top line through this, given the amount of time. But as everybody said, the slides are going to be shared. So please, our contact details are on there, our website. Just please get in touch, and if all else fails, talk to Anna. So Villiers Park, we're a national social mobility charity. This is actually our centenary year, which is actually something that we're simultaneously proud of and actually a little bit sad about. You know, obviously the work we've done is incredibly valued, thankfully, and over the years, you know, we've helped and supported thousands and thousands of young people from around the country, but actually to still be needed to provide that support a century on is also actually quite sad. And something that we do reflect on. We have had lots of conversations actually this year about striking that tone of, gosh, celebrating our work, but while also saying, actually, if we were all doing, you know, the work was, you know, achieving what it should, and the government was doing what it should, then actually, ideally, I'm out of a job. So it's an interesting one. But however, in 2025, this is where we are. We have regional hubs. We put those nice sort of pins in there, but actually when we say Tyneside, we have a huge amount of area that we cover. When we say Cambridgeshire, actually, this time next week I'm up in Peterborough. I'm also in Bedford a few weeks later. So, you know, we actually work around those. We're not specifically leaving Wales out, I promise. It's simply, we're a charity and it's down to funding. It is as simple as that. You know, the need for our work, we know, is everywhere. It just comes down to funding. As you can see, a few figures there, the number of young people that we're working with. We have a coaching programme, which is slightly different to sort of mentoring that we lean to occasionally, but predominantly we are coaches. I say we. I still have a cohort. It's really important that I have a colleague who works actually Hastings, Bexhill and Tyneside. I look after Swindon, Norwich and Cambridgeshire, so we've all done really well geographically there. But we actually keep a coaching cohort, so you know, I kind of feel that I can't stand here and talk to you in conferences like this if I actually don't also work with young people, and I do. There's actually 25 of us, around about 25 of us in our organisation, so you can see that we, I think we, you know, those numbers would say that we achieve quite a lot. So what do we do? This is our theory of change. I'm very aware it's very text heavy, but as I say, the slides are coming out, so I'm not going to sort of head through it line by line. What we have is that bespoke, non-directive coaching model, because actually, although we often do sit in a widening participation space, if you like, actually, as an organisation, we don't have an agenda for the young people we work with. They come to us, and we work with them to help them discover what it is that they have a passion for, that they would like to do. We work with them to then build that skills and knowledge that take them towards that path. Okay, and again, alongside that then, we help build their capacity to increase the social capital and actually have their own agency, you know, to become, our programme is actually called Future Leaders, so they have that motivation to continue almost without us as they move on. So while a lot of what we do is work with higher education and universities, that's not our aim. We do not have that agenda as an organisation. We similarly work with students, you know, who may choose apprenticeships. Lots of them want to choose apprenticeships, but at the moment, not so many of them around, unfortunately, to choose from. Some go into employment, so we work with employers as well to give those pathways to everyone. Our Future Leaders programme, actually, our core programme runs from age 14 to 19, so we start working with students in year 10 all the way to the end of year 13. We've popped there 12 to 21 because actually we do have additional programmes that some Uni Connects we're working with in terms of academic attainment. We're actually working with some year 8s, which is interesting and lovely at the same time on specific projects. And the transition project that I will talk about in a few minutes obviously took us above our usual year 13. So we popped in there. Okay. Everything we do on our programme is underpinned by possible cells theory. I'm not going to read that out to you, you can all read it. But essentially the idea is that those students that are from less advantaged backgrounds, so we work with essentially the same criteria that Sian was talking about. So our schools choose the students to take part in the programme. Because of the sort of necessarily, they have that narrower opportunity for experience. They have that narrower sort of network that allows them to think about or project themselves into possibilities of their future. And so our programme aims to just widen that. We offer that opportunity to sit down, talk to us, to have experiences that create those, that they help them create their own possible selves. And it can be multiple. There is also avoidable selves as well. Our students will create those avoidable selves, the things that they just don't want to be. And we, in the same way, we support the positive possible self, but we also help them navigate away from that avoidable self. So, our programme, as I say, it runs over 4 years. And so each student has a designated coach, a progression coach. We're embedded in schools, and each student will have 1 hour coaching session with their coach each term. We also run a social action project in years 10 and 12, so this is where students tangibly get to think about and develop their skills. So we have our skills for success, which are things that you would imagine, sort of team building, initiative, open-mindedness, leadership, creativity, all of those that we all sort of know. But this is a project that essentially is, they devise themselves. The idea is that it is beneficial to their school community. We support them to develop and then deliver the project. So to give you an idea of what students might be doing, so this year we have students that are taking part, they're creating their own Cultures Day within school because that was something they felt was missing within their school community. So they are organising a Cultures Day. They might do something related to sport. They might do, quite a lot of students choose STEM-related projects. We work quite closely with the Institute for Research in Schools, IRIS, so they will do IRIS projects. So all of those really sort of tangibly develop those skills. We also take them outside of school as well, so we're very lucky that even though budgets are tight, universities very kindly offer insight days. So for where I often work, Swindon and Wiltshire, University of Gloucestershire very kindly hosted us this year. Anglia Ruskin are very kindly hosting our Norwich and Cambridge students. I want to say it was Sunderland University that we've been to this year in Tyneside. And Plymouth, very kindly this year, took our students from Hastings and Bexhill. We offer residentials. Again, as Sian was saying, we collaborate with universities around a residential. And in year 10, that's actually not just about university. We bring employers in as well. So we try and give that parity of pathway because, as I say, we do not have an agenda as an organisation. So we bring all our students together from across our hubs. Currently, we are incredibly grateful to, it's actually the University of Bath, Andrew Ross, who is offering us the opportunity, it'll be the third year this year, of a 3-day residential with 95 year 10s, and it's not at all stressful. It's not at all stressful. So they will be on campus, as you said. They will get taster lectures, but we also have some of our corporate partners come in and talk about employability pathways. We also have an expert in apprenticeships come in, talk about that. They do projects, obviously. They get to experience Bath as well, because quite a lot of even our Swindon students will likely not have been to Bath. So it's kind of nice to see that as well. So that's an idea of the sort of experiences that they take part in on our programme. And all of that is wrapped up in that reflective cycle. So what we hope to do over the 4 years is that the students, while they're taking part in the coaching, they learn to coach themselves. They learn to figure out we have the thread through all of our programmes is purpose and values. What is your purpose? What are your values? Are you, if you're unsure of something, go back to that. How does this fit with my purpose? How does this situation fit with my values? Am I okay with this? So it's building that self-confidence and that resilience and that idea, as you were saying already, actually we hope by the time they come to university, yes, of course, they're still going to be nervous and new, but actually they have more of a secure idea of who they are. And they can go back to that. And they also have that self-awareness of the support that they may already want to find. So when it is signposted, they're in a position to take that information in. Because it is, you don't know what you don't know. So, coming to where we are today. And as I said, I promise I did not create this PowerPoint as we were listening this morning. We had an opportunity last year, and this is part of what Teresa and Anna came to. We had an opportunity to work with UPP Foundation. So an acronym, I'm not sure how many people are aware of this, but UPP, they are largely the sort of owners, builders of student accommodation and academic accommodation, but they also have a charity foundation arm. And they did some research along with UCAS, and these were kind of 3 standout findings that they took from their research. And so we talked, I know you've talked a lot about, sort of from your point of view, retention. And actually, part of what we were looking at from our point of view from Villiers Park is, of course, retention is incredibly important, because if you don't stay at university, you don't graduate. But actually, it's deeper than that. Okay, so 68% of those first-year students thought the university had given them the support they needed to prepare. But as you've already all said, it's not about just first year. In fact, it's not even about those first weeks. It's that continuation. So that you see that drop in the second and third year. And actually, for us, it was probably this one that really spoke to us as an organisation. That students from those less advantaged backgrounds are less likely to continue their studies and are less likely to gain a 2-1 or a first than students from more advantaged backgrounds. Because it's not about just getting here, and it's not about just getting to the finish line. It's actually achieving your potential. And so for us, that's where kind of our mission, if you like, lies. As I say, we took this opportunity then to work with UPP. They funded ourselves and the Brilliant Club to run projects. And obviously, the Brilliant Club, they have Join the Dots. And we went for Bridge to Your Future, because actually that made sense to us in that actually the formal part of our programme usually ends sometime in the 2 or 3 weeks after results day. As you can imagine, we're often quite busy around results day. And we continue that support. But actually, then the students head off to university. And when I'm very careful to say that our formal part of our support ends there, because actually we just say, you know where we are. you can always send us an email, come back. And often students do, but we didn't have that formal programme that continued. So this gave us the chance to, instead of just saying, oh, you know where we are, just know we're coming with you for a little bit more. So that's what we did. So we took the opportunity also to have a discovery phase of what undergraduates were saying. And actually we worked with 3 universities. We worked with Northumbria University, Canterbury Christ Church and Kent University. So those are universities that some of our students go to. And again, it looks like I've just sat here creating this, but I haven't. Because this is what we're taught, and it's what you're hearing as well. So that's quite nice that we're all in concert, really. That students, they would like more information earlier. So this, as we work with them from age 14, and we try to give them as much, but actually we're not the university. We don't know what their course is. We don't know what the academic expectations are of each department. The earlier you start talking to these students, the more comfortable they feel. Those summer mentorship programs that we know happen, those online programs that happen post-results day, hugely, hugely important. And they're brilliant, and we know they're there, and we know that they work. But in some cases, do you know how to find them? Students receive an overwhelming amount of information in the first few weeks. You've said this in the room. I'm not going to sort of, what we have found, and as I go through, actually, as you've already said, repeating that information, those wobble weeks, absolutely go out there with the workshops and the information and the signposting again. We know of universities, a number of universities that actually essentially do Welcome Week again, but now, well, actually in the next couple of weeks, it's not everybody's back now, but they do them in January because students have had that first semester to kind of, okay, I'm here, this is what it's about, get into their course a little bit, maybe find those first few friends, and they're now in a space to say, oh, actually, I've got time to join a society, or, oh, that's where that support is. Those first few weeks, just overwhelming. Oh, I'm talking too much. That's what happens. It's poo.
No, it always happens in this room. I don't know.
I'll speed up.
Happened yesterday. I put you in tea because I want to work.
I'll speed up. And that, as you already said, that disconnect between academic expectations and what's expected at university, there is a huge amount of anxiety around that. Please don't ever underestimate, the number of times that we get an email saying, what do they mean by first and 2-1? What do they mean? And we say, okay, it's this. Where's the marking scheme? How do I know? And that comes from, 2 years later that I'll have had a conversation where you can only do 3 A-levels, not 6. And it's the same, if you don't know, you don't know. And again, as you've all been talking about, those worries about belonging and making friends. So obviously we set out to work with students, to equip them with the skills and knowledge, increase their confidence, support them to make those social networks and have that sense of belonging. And we set out to bridge that gap to say, okay, these are your people now. This is where the help is. We're still here, but actually, these, the services are there. This is how you get in touch. Very quick slide about sort of just the timeline of it, really. I'll leave that slide there because I can see the time. I yibber too much. It's why I'm a coach. But as you can see there, we continue to offer the coaching, so to reinforce those purpose and values. Belonging for us isn't about belonging to university or the course or the brand, whatever. It's belonging to yourself as a student. Okay, so that's what we mean when we work with our students. That how do I see myself as a student in this space? Not how do I see myself as X person attached to something else. Hugely text heavy, as I say. I know the slides are coming around, but that coaching sort of scenario continued to support our students. And we continued this through the first part, through year one of university. Then we had a conference that Teresa and Anna came to. And from this we pulled out the outcomes. The full reports are linked at the end of the slide. But the takeaways really were that personal support, as you can see from there, both Villiers Park and the Brilliant Club, that idea of that personalised support, that trusted person that you can go to, that supports and gives you that information. And again, for this particular student, how do I write an essay? How do I write a reference? To be honest, I'm still working out how to reference. It's never clear. But how do I produce work that's university level standard? Students are so used to, here's the mark scheme, here's what we're here's how you get to this band, here's how you get to this band, and suddenly, where do I find that? I'm used to being given it. And we tended to find students who had, actually a lot of our students, as you can imagine, well, not a lot, that's the wrong phrase, a proportion of, do foundation years. They actually fared and felt much more confident than those that hadn't, but even still, there is that sense of kind of academic nerves, if you like. Belonging and confidence, as we've all talked about through today, but as I say, for us, it's belonging as myself, as a student. I'm confident that I'm good enough to be here. That's a big, for students that we work with, that confidence that, somehow or other everybody knows something that I don't. And actually, am I good enough to be here? Yes, you are. It's fine. You're going to be okay. And it's that enables them to understand themselves, as my colleagues put here, and develop and move on. And the confidence to go ask for the help as well. And as we've said, that sustained support is incredibly important. Getting to the sort of third, fourth year, looking at graduating, still there is that support needed for what do I do next? How do I find a job? How do I, where do I go next? So actually, it doesn't even stop with getting them as far as graduating. And we know you've got great careers support services, but again, accessing that, asking the right questions is still really important. So, I think what we'd say is reiterate everything I've already heard in the room, is, continue that sort of coaching, is that coaching model, so they can actually come back and say, have that resilience and confidence to find the support themselves as well. So that hopefully helps with your retention. I'm aware I've waffled on. Thank you very much. Any questions?